Okay everyone, Darkside Phil here, and hello and welcome to something wildly different than what I would normally be doing on any kind of a gameplay stream or even on YouTube. I am going to be checking out a collection game that was released today for the Xbox One exclusively. It is called the Rare Replay Collection. It is a collection of 30 games spanning over 30 years, that's right. The history of Rare. This game development company that has been around for quite a long time and has had highs and lows, admittedly. They've had some high highs, some low lows. You know, they were eventually purchased by Microsoft, and they kind of still develop games, although you don't really see them around too much. But what we're going to be doing today in this gameplay session, I'm going to be checking out all of the games, yes, all of the games in the Rare Replay Collection. I'm not going to be starting any kind of a new playthrough or anything, but I just want to get a flavor for every game that's in the Rare Replay Collection, spanning the 80s, 90s, 2000s. And some of these games, it's funny, because some of these games I actually did play myself when they were new releases in, say, the 80s and 90s. And so I'll be able to give my unique take on what I think about the versions that are in this collection, okay? Now, in addition to that, as you can see, there's other stuff in this collection. See, bite-sized retros challenges. There's also Rare Revealed, Rare's history with bonus videos. And as you play, I'll actually press this X button now, it says stamps. As you play the game, you unlock stamps in the game. As you can see, you can get up to 330. And apparently, these unlock more content in the game. And the first one you see there, you'll see is because I just booted the first game last night to make sure that this would work for today's stream, and it does. But this is going to be pretty fun, I think. And I've cleared out my entire day. I'm playing this all day today just to check this out. So I think this is going to be pretty sweet. Let's start off. As you see, Game Gallery right here is the first thing. You jump right into a gallery of all the games available. And just to show you quickly before we even start one, Jetpack was released in 1983. It was one of Rare's first games. The sequel, Lunar Jetman. And then, of course, these are all kind of arcade-style games. A Tick Attack, Saber Wolf, Underworld, 1984, Knight's Lore, 1984, Gunfight, 1985. We're still in the arcade days. Slalom. I actually remember seeing Slalom in arcades, but I never played it. RC Pro-Am. This one, I played a lot of. If this is the game that I think it is, I used to play this one in arcades all the time with the steering wheel. So this is a classic that I'd like to experience. Cobra Triangle, I think, is a boat driving game, and I think I've played this one too. Snake Rattle and Roll I never played, but this was a very popular NES title back in the day. Solar Jetman, another one I never played, but this was kind of the successor to the Jetpack games. Digger T-Rock, I've never even heard of. Battletoads. Now, I think almost everyone knows this game. It's a huge classic on the NES. It was one of the hardest games ever on the Nintendo Entertainment System. People still play this game to this day for speedrunning purposes and difficulty challenge races. It's an incredibly great platforming combat game. That's going to be a cool one. RC Pro-Am 2, obviously the sequel to RC Pro-Am, right? Battletoads Arcade. I don't think a lot of people know about this, but Battletoads was so popular on the Nintendo Entertainment System, they released an arcade version of the game that was 3-player cooperative gameplay that was pretty awesome. I played it a few times, but never too much, but they actually have it in this collection, which is nice. Killer Instinct Gold. So this one is one of the ones I'm a little skeptical of, and the reason I say that, because this is supposed to be the console port of Killer Instinct 2 for the Nintendo 64. It was only ever ported to the Nintendo 64 because Rare was owned by Nintendo. Problem being, the Nintendo 64 wasn't a very powerful console compared to the others. So really, this version of the game is far visually inferior to the arcade. And I'm wondering why the hell they ported this version and not the arcade version when they ported the arcade version of Battletoads and they couldn't do it with Killer Instinct. That's kind of annoying, but you'll see when we get to it. I'll explain more. Blast Corps I never played. I think this is also a Nintendo 64 game, so I don't know too much about that. Banjo Kazooie. This is supposed to, I believe, to be the HD remaster that came out on the Xbox 360. Classic platformer. A lot of people like it. And in fact, right now, the game developers of Banjo Kazooie who left Rare are now doing their big Kickstarter for, what was it, Ukulele? So it's kind of the spiritual successor to this game. But it's cool to have this in here. Force Gemini. I know nothing. I seriously have no idea about this game at all, so I guess we'll see. Perfect Dark. This game was also on the Nintendo 64 and was a bestseller at the time. And it really was capable of kind of pushing first-person shooters into the console limelight. This and GoldenEye were the two games that really did that. But Perfect Dark was pretty popular, and I remember when this game came out, although I never really played it. Banjo-Tooie, pretty straightforward. This direct sequel to Banjo-Kazooie. Conkers Bad Fur Day. Now, here's why it's cool that this is in this version of the game. You might not realize this. Conkers Bad Fur Day for the Nintendo 64 is an adult-oriented game. Okay? An adult-oriented game. It is actually lots of, you know, adult content, crude humor, stuff that normally you wouldn't want a little kid to play. It was made for adults, but it's geared, it looks like a kid's game. So it actually became a bestseller on the Nintendo 64, but then later on, they re-released it on the Xbox, the original Xbox console, as Live and Reloaded, and when they did that, they censored the game heavily and took out a lot of the adult-oriented content and made it pretty freaking lame. So this is awesome because it's really the first opportunity a lot of people will ever have to play the original Conkers Bad Fur Day, and I'm actually looking forward to checking that out. Grabbed by the Ghoulies, I don't know too much about, and apparently from what I'm hearing, it actually never really got ported to anywhere that was, like, accurate to the original game, so it could be pretty sweet to check out Grabbed by the Ghoulies for the first time. Kameo, Elements of Power. Many might not realize this because it was released back in 2005. It was a launch title for the Xbox 360. In fact, it was the game that they were trying to bundle with the Xbox 360 for a long time. And not many people remember the game after the launch of the Xbox 360, so obviously that doesn't say too much good things about it, but we'll be checking that out. Perfect Dark Zero, also a launch title for the Xbox 360, and in fact, I remember when the Xbox 360 released, there were only two first-person shooters. One was Perfect Dark Zero, and one was a Call of Duty game, so everyone who bought the Xbox 360 who was into first-person shooters bought both of those games. Now, I don't know if it's any good, I never played it, but we'll have an opportunity to check that out today. Viva Pinata, a unique kind of cutesy, I don't even know if is it a platformer, is it a puzzle game? I don't even know what this game is. Again, I haven't checked this out yet, so this will be a cool opportunity for me to check out this series because I never have. Jetpack Refueled, I don't even understand what this is because as you saw, Jetpack was an arcade game from the early 1980s. Why 25 years later there's a game called Jetpack Refueled? I have no idea. I don't know if anyone even played this. I guess we'll find out. Viva Pinata, Trouble in Paradise, so the direct sequel to Viva Pinata from 2 years later. Now, this one is the final game in the collection, and from what I'm to understand, Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts is a racing game, which kind of blows my mind, because take a look here. Banjo-Tooie, we'll go all the way back, was released in 2000. So the sequel to Banjo-Kazooie was released in 2000. You heard nothing from Banjo for 8 years, and then 8 years later, they released a racing game. That is quite odd, in my opinion. Confusing. I kind of want to scratch my head and say, why would they have done that 8 years later? I don't know. That's really odd to me. But, so that is the 30 games that are available. Now, I don't know if there's any unlockables or extras in the game. I haven't even messed around with it yet. We're going to be checking all these out. And I'm pretty excited. It's a pretty fun collection, right? For 30 bucks, by the way, I do want to tell you, it's 30 US dollars. I don't know what that would be depending on where you live, but that's not bad. 30 games for $30, especially because some of these games like Killer Instinct Gold, I know for a fact, has tons of content in there. So it should be pretty fun. Alright, so that's kind of the intro video where I go through the menu, I show you everything. Now I'm actually going to start to individually start checking out these games, one by one. So, thanks, so let's get started.